When we run into, we obviously deal with a lot of large companies, but we also are always looking for emerging companies. And when we're looking for emerging companies, we're looking for really the right people, right? And doing a hardware startup is very, very difficult. Even in the best of cases, you think you have enough money, and then you start running into challenges, and you got engineering problems, and your customers leave. And it's just really tough. So when we engage with a new emerging guy like that, or girl, we're looking for the product. Is the product going to change the market? Is it going to take a piece of somebody else's market share? In Gabe's case, when we first met Gabe, we looked at it, it checked all the boxes. They had the vision, they had the drive, they had the connectivity to their customer base. So, from the very start when we met them, we were with them. We're here today to support them. So just want to introduce Gabe at Rufus and the Rufus team.
So my name's Gabe. I'm one of the co-founders at Rufus Labs. And before I get into how we build wearable tools for the workforce, like what I'm wearing right here, I'll give you a little bit of background on myself. So I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. In 1904, my great-grandfather opened up a shipping and local delivery business, as well as a hardware store. At the age of 9, I spent a lot of time receiving UPS deliveries, restocking shelves, my earliest taste of logistics as a kid. My parents opened up some retail stores in Manhattan. They made handmade clothing, so they traveled back and forth overseas for manufacturing, and I traveled with them up until the age of 12 or so with my, first taste in wearables. So those are some awesome pants, by the way. That guy right there, with a background in logistics and hardware and wearables, seemed, at least to me right now, like a great fit to be building wearable tools for the workforce. And that's a little bit of my background. And now to give you a taste of how Rufus got to where we are. I started looking at wearables, and if you look at what's out on the market today, there's a lot of devices that are focused on fitness, or perhaps they're focused more on notifications and function as a redundancy of your smartphone. And that didn't seem like the right way for us to go when building a wearable. We wanted to have something with a wide enough screen, a robust operating system, and a battery that was going to be big enough to power it all. And the eventual goal would be remove everything from the pockets. Why are we carrying wallets, keys, smartphones? 10 years, those should all be out of our pockets. And I don't know how that guy got there again. We did really well on our IndieGoGo campaign. We did $500,000 in pre-orders from the consumer. We continued to take orders on our website. But what was really great is in that pool that was already tremendous enough for us, we started getting emails from warehouse workers, major retailers, some of the biggest auto manufacturers in the globe, and defense companies as well, saying we have these really crappy tools right now that we're using. They're 8, 10, 12-pound devices we're carrying around. We're using clipboards. I think I used that walkie-talkie in the 80s when I was a kid. These are the tools that are being used in warehouses today. And we realized we have a much better solution to bring wearable technology to the workforce in a platform that's ruggedized, it's wearable, it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so it works in a lot of the existing infrastructure. And a big point when we talk to these customers is shifts. Everything has to be 8 hours, 12 hours. So we had to build a big enough battery in there that was going to allow workers to work full shifts. As I mentioned, ruggedization is important. So we've built an exoskeleton that will allow us to enter different verticals that maybe have harsher environments. Bluetooth scanning is really important. So we have a separate scanning device that allows us to actually move people's scan rates at a much higher rate. And we're also working on software, Rufus Logic and Rufus Safe, and I'm happy to talk more about those later. Those are ways for us to efficiently route people around the floor based on data we collect and things we learn, as well as keeping them safe on the floor as well. If you look at the leading cause of injury and death on a warehouse floor, it's forklifts and high rate of speed vehicles. If there's a way we can give a spidey sense or some kind of warning to people on the floor, that's a great way to keep people safer. The industry potential is huge. Wearables are expected to be over $200 billion by 2019. And it's not just wearables that we're talking about. We're looking at disrupting sectors of the market, BYOD devices, tablets, desktops. All of those are being used now, and people are walking from here to there to go check something instead of it being right here. If we look at the competitive landscape at what's wearable, there's wearable devices, the Apple Watch, Android Wear devices. They're very low in functionality. They're very high in wearability. They have small batteries, stripped down OS. They're not really great for input with that tiny screen. Smartphones, highly functional, but they straddle that line of wearable and unwearable because they're getting bigger. They also have LTE in them. So one, that drains battery life, And 2, it eats up space physically inside where we can have a larger battery in the device itself. Daiquiri's doing some interesting stuff in the manufacturing and warehouse space. We put them on the wearable scale as slightly less wearable than us. Some of the customers we're talking to, especially in the retail sector, are customer-facing positions. So you're not going to walk into a Target and talk to a customer with a RoboCop visor in front of their face. At least it wouldn't be the best experience. If we look at the market potential in the US alone, we narrow down the workers who are pick-and-place workers, people who are moving boxes from one place to another, and it's really important for them to have both hands free, and they're using these handheld 12-pound devices. In the US alone, we're looking at over 6 million users. If we multiply that, if we look globally, we multiply that by a 10x. We've got some really great trials going on this year. This is an area I'm super excited about. One of the areas we're working on with Arrow, in addition to them being a parts supplier for us, they've got a lot of warehouses. And it's a great place for us to start. They have a facility in Reno that's focused, new e-warehouse for them there. We'll be in trials. Texas Instruments, a good partner of ours, gave us early access to some products, and we'll be in trials there as well. It's Hyundai, a major defense company, and Fortune 100 retailer that we're working with right now. Our revenue model is focused, as I mentioned, both on hardware and software. We're building Rufus Logic and Rufus Safe, and both of those elements will intelligently route people around using our hardware platform and keep them safer on the floor. So we see hardware being initially a big important part of the puzzle, but software going just beyond our devices too when you add in dashboard ability and other functions on tablets and other devices that users will be able to monitor their teams on. Development status, where we are. So I'm wearing a functional prototype right now. Works really well. I can do some demoing over at the table if you haven't already seen it. We're in the Make in LA Accelerator as of yesterday, or today we're officially done. It's been a great facility for us to use and rapid prototype, even some docking solutions that we built in a few days and printed up, which were a big customer pain point of ours. And we're working with Arrow to supply all of those parts in our bill of materials, all 400 components that go on here. We're building right here in the USA, and we're super excited to be shipping this summer, starting in August. So where we're focused right now, as I mentioned, warehouse, logistics, retail, pick and place, that's important. There's lots of areas that are critical to us in our future roadmap. We're just not really ready to take those on yet. The dining and hospitality space, we've had a lot of conversations. We've talked to groups of over 50,000 first responders in the US and outside, and there's a lot of good we can do there, but as I mentioned, Rufus Logic and Rufus Safe, intelligently routing people around the floor. And we have an awesome team that is going to get us there. Paula is one of our co-founders. She's a lawyer in New York and New Jersey, taking the California bar because I told her she had to. Easton from USC has been with the company since day one, our first employee, focused on brand and marketing. We have an excellent engineering team on hardware and software. My background is in computer engineering and marketing. I didn't like coding much in college, so I switched to a marketing degree halfway through. We've added to the team recently. Kiri also helps us with our patents and intellectual property for all of our different devices, both in design, utility, and software. Eric is one of the employee 13 at SpaceX. He runs a successful alt-space VR company up in Palo right now as one of our advisors. Doug, who's here today, will be joining the lab. This is a very recent event as our CRO, or Chief Revenue Officer. This is an area that will be focused on business development, sales, and nurturing the relationships that we already have, which are phenomenal, and growing some more. And James has been a good friend of mine for a while, and a mentor and advisor to the lab, and now coming on as CTO full-time 2 months ago. He was the CTO at Napster. Most recently, he was at Zaya Inc. the last 4 years, focusing on software, iOS, and Android development. We've had a great year. We've won some really cool events. Reach was an awesome event. The Alpha Lab gear, we just went to the finals in Pittsburgh. And recently, Mayor Garcetti and the office awarded us with a small business, Outstanding Small Business 2016 award. Woo! That was a huge win. Very exciting. As I mentioned, we're in Macon, LA. We have a great relationship with the Bixel Exchange. We're invited and official members there. That is the emerging tech division of the LA Chamber of Commerce. We have a growing relationship with UPS. Todd's here somewhere, and we're really excited about that. TI, as I mentioned, has been a good partner in providing us with parts early on. Oric is now our law firm of record, and they're doing a lot of work at deferred costs, which shows some great faith in our business. And Arrow, as I mentioned, not only are we going into those trials, but that $23 billion, I'm somewhere around there, that $23 billion company has offered to be our gorilla in the room when we go to certain customers. If we need them to understand that we can scale at any level to meet their demand, arrow will pop in that room and make sure they know Rufus can build at whatever level they need. So our strategy right now, there's some big milestones we're going to pass in the next 3 to 6 months. As I mentioned, I've got a working prototype here. We're going through our final DFM, which is Design for Manufacture. And all of our parts, FCC certifications, they're arriving and going right now. We expect to begin shipping in August. That'll be a big milestone. Rufus Logic and Rufus Beta are being built, Rufus Safe are being built right now. Those will be in beta. We'll have a few more LOIs. And hopefully those trials I mentioned before will be a little further along. Some will be POs, and then we'll have some more trials as well. And that'll allow us to bring on a little bit bigger team and manage all of those buildups that we have to do and go towards a Series A in January. Click. There we go. My name is Gabe. I'm here from Rufus Labs. We build wearable technology for enterprise. Again, I'll be doing some demos over at the booth if anyone wants to see it, and I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.